Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a story that's close to all our hearts. A story about the magic that happens inside a classroom. It's about a young boy named Ahmed and a lesson he learned that was auntie in any of his textbooks. This is a story about respect, curiosity, and the wonderful journey of learning. So, let's picture this. A bright, sunny classroom filled with the gentle hum of students. Sunlight streams through the big windows, making dust motes dance in the air. Among the students is Ahmed, a boy with bright, curious eyes and a mind always buzzing with questions. His teacher, Ms. Evelyn, stood at the front of the room. She had a kind smile that could make even the most difficult math problem seem a little less scary, and a passion for teaching that filled the entire classroom with warmth. On this particular day, Ms. Evelyn was explaining the water cycle. She drew swirling arrows on the whiteboard, showing how water travels from the rivers to the sky and back again. She spoke of evaporation, condensation, and precipitation, using words that painted vivid pictures in the students' minds. Many kids were doodling in their notebooks, some were whispering to their friends, and a few were staring out the window, lost in their own daydreams. But not Ahmed. Ahmed was leaning forward in his seat, his chin resting on his hands, completely absorbed. He followed every word Ms. Evelyn said, his eyes tracing the diagrams she drew. He wasn't just hearing the lesson, he was truly listening. He found it fascinating how tiny droplets of water could come together to form a big, fluffy cloud. It was like a secret of the universe being unveiled right there in his classroom. When Ms. Evelyn explained how rain is formed, a question popped into Ahmed's head. It was a simple question, but he wanted to understand it perfectly. He waited for a moment, not wanting to interrupt the flow of the lesson. He saw that Ms. Evelyn had paused to ask if everyone was following along. This was his chance. He raised his hand, not frantically waving it, but raising it calmly and respectfully. Miss Evelyn's eyes met his, and she smiled. "Yes, Ahmed, do you have a question?" she asked, her voice encouraging. Miss Evelyn, Ahmed began politely. "You said the water droplets get heavy in the clouds and then fall as rain. But what makes them suddenly decide to get heavy all at once? Why don't they just fall one by one as they form?" A murmur went through the classroom. Some students giggled, thinking it was a silly question. But Miss Evelyn's smile widened. She didn't see a silly question. She saw a curious mind at work. She saw a student who was genuinely trying to connect the dots. "That is a brilliant question, Ahmed," she exclaimed, her enthusiasm genuine. "Thank you for asking it. It shows you're thinking like a real scientist." The giggles in the classroom stopped. Everyone turned their attention back to the front. Ahmed felt a little proud. His question wasn't silly, it was brilliant. Miss Evelyn then took the time to explain further. She talked about how dust particles and tiny pollutants in the air act as condensation nuclei, giving the water vapor something to cling to. She explained that it's a team effort up there in the clouds. The droplets don't just decide to fall, they grow and merge until their collective weight is too much for the air currents to hold up. She even used an analogy, comparing it to a group of friends gathering together before deciding to go play outside. Ahmed listened, completely captivated. Her explanation made everything click into place. It was no longer just a diagram on a board. It was a living, breathing process. He nodded slowly, a look of understanding dawning on his face. "Oh, I get it now. So they need to team up." "Thank you, Ms. Evelyn," he said with a grateful smile. "You are most welcome, Ahmed," she replied warmly. "Never be afraid to ask questions. That's how we learn and grow." Throughout the school year, this became a familiar scene. Whether it was a history lesson about ancient civilizations, a science experiment with bubbling beakers, or a literature class dissecting a poem, Ahmed was always an active participant. He always listened with his full attention. He wouldn't shout out answers or interrupt his classmates. When he had something to say, he would raise his hand and wait his turn. When he spoke to his teachers, he always used a polite tone, saying please and thank you. His classmates started to notice. They saw how the teachers' faces would light up when Ahmed asked a thoughtful question. They saw how Ms. Evelyn and the other teachers would often share extra, interesting facts with him, sparked by his curiosity. They saw the bond of mutual respect that had formed between Ahmed and his teachers. It wasn't about being a teacher's pet. It was about creating an environment where learning could flourish. One afternoon after school, Ahmed's best friend, Sam, walked up to him. "Ahmed," Sam said, "how come you always seem to understand everything so easily, and the teachers always seem so happy to explain things to you?" Ahmed thought for a moment. He hadn't really considered it before. He just did what felt right. He looked at Sam and smiled. "I don't know if I understand everything easily," he admitted. "Sometimes I get confused too, but I think it's because I really listen to what the teachers are saying. And when I don't understand, I ask, but I try to do it in a way that shows I respect their time and their knowledge," he continued. "Think about it, Sam. Our teachers are here to help us. They have so much knowledge to share. When we listen carefully and ask questions politely, it's like we're telling them, hey, what you're doing is important, and I want to learn from you. It makes them happy to teach, and I think it makes learning more fun for everyone." Sam pondered this. He remembered the times he had been distracted in class, talking to friends or not paying attention. He realized that when he did that, he often missed important parts of the lesson and then felt lost. He was showing a lack of respect, not just for the teacher, but for his own learning. Later that week, during a particularly tough math class, Sam decided to try Ahmed's approach. He put his phone away, focused on the teacher, and listened intently. When a question came up that he didn't understand, he waited for the right moment, raised his hand politely, and asked for clarification. The teacher, who had sometimes been stern with Sam for his inattentiveness, responded with a patient and detailed explanation. For the first time, Sam felt the concept click into place. It was a small moment, but it felt like a huge victory. The story of Ahmed teaches us something incredibly profound. Respect is not just about being quiet and obedient. It's a two-way street that builds a bridge between the student and the teacher. When we respect our teachers, we open ourselves up to their wisdom. We show them that we value their effort, their experience, and the knowledge they are so eager to impart. This respect creates a positive feedback loop. A respectful student encourages a teacher to be more engaging and more generous with their knowledge. An engaged teacher, in turn, inspires the student to be more curious and eager to learn. It transforms the classroom from a place of passive instruction into a dynamic space of shared discovery and intellectual excitement. So, the moral of Ahmed's story is simple yet powerful. Respecting our teachers is one of the most important keys to unlocking the vast treasure chest of knowledge and wisdom. It's not just about good manners. It's about creating the best possible conditions for our own minds to grow. It turns learning from a chore into a joyful adventure. Thank you so much for joining us for this story today. I hope it gave you something to think about. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next story. We love sharing these journeys with you. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep showing respect to those who guide you. Bye for now.